In the Hearts and Minds, Book 0, The Birth of a Hero, Story 5, Pinotta. A young woman, so young as to still be round-cheeked, had been bought from the country of Sardonia. Rather, the girl had exchanged hands between a merchant family, too poor to pay the skyrocketing tariffs on imports, and the sleazy owner of a gambling den who kept a share of Truvia's mysterious cash safe and silently growing. To which end, we could only guess. So the young woman packed up her huppel blouses, cottony rebozos, and elaborate, free-flowing skirts. She was sent off with a melee of gruff men and made to sit buried beneath a jostling wagon filled to the brim with fine glass menagerie, Sardonia's source of fame. After arriving in the capital of Truvia United, the girl turned in her wide-brim curved hat and donned the toques and turbans of the new money elite. Her long, buoyant hair was kept tamed under a militant army of pins. Eventually, the constant cloud cover faded the richness of her skin. No vineyards sprawling down flushing green fields dappled her arms under a pattern of swaying shadows. The utilitarian gray of the sugar kingdom left much to be desired, sweet tooth or not. Even her moccasins had been exchanged for pumps and 2-inch heels. She needed smaller, daintier feet to travel the cracks between cobblestones. To sum it up as culture shock does both of those words an injustice. It was a veritable molting of her old way of life to forcibly plaster on the new one. In its hastiness, imperfections reigned. Sometimes that hair fanned out beneath those turban hats, spiraling curls down her back like a prairie field. Her slim dresses often had an extra skirt sewn into the bottom, fabrics and colors as sunny and bright as the world she had left behind. Her face showed nary a hint of rouge and lip stain. Her eyelashes were not curled like spiders' legs, sticking almost a full inch off her eyelids, and the few spots of different colored skin, drops of caramel drizzling over a pecan pie, were not covered up by layers of makeup. She had acclimated, yes, but the young woman's free spirit could not stay trapped within the mold of a Truvian shell. The man she had been sold to was hardly any younger than her own father, a barrel of a man, with more hair on his chest than his head. An impressionable cigar hung from the side of his mouth as he partook in the basest of carnal desires, sex, drugs, and money. The young wife was hardly the only woman on the gambler's shelf of pretty knickknacks, but she was the only one who could not return home once his playtime was done. They lived in a loft in a shipyard overlooking a bustling importation business. Only 3 warehouses down, a slew of illegal cage fights, cockfights, and black market trades eluded constables and other officers of the law. The young woman spent each day out wandering the city. She had no friends. She spoke no words. Often she would stall on an uneven patch of sidewalk and stare at a sparse patch of grass. There may be a stringy bunny searching in vain for more glorious pastures, or a slew of little black sparrows chipping away at a forgotten pastry. She would stare. Passers-by would veer around her, glancing back with unmistakable annoyance, and then she would continue on her directionless path. It could take minutes. It could take seconds. Eventually, the young woman would dip into the city market, vendors in the streets trying to sell wares of costly imported goods, vegetables from Calamantia, grains from the Republic of Stufant, wine, blessed wine, from Sardonia. No cheese. To secure a chunk of Colby or a wedge of Havarti one had to seek out the gambler himself. A crocheted sash and matching bag she kept secured around her shoulder slowly filled up with groceries. She used "excuse me" and "thank you," and sometimes the vendors would give her a bizarre look, glancing around the woman as if they had missed something. Once done, the sun would be near setting, and the young woman would grudgingly return home. Her walk back to the shipyard was always longer than her walk out. Keeping her head down did nothing. She faced jeers, leers, and beers. Workers, grease-stained and smoke-filled, would vie into her path. They knew whose wife she was. They also knew nobody would reprimand them for looking, just so long as they didn't touch. Apparently, looking required commentary, too. When the doll on the shelf returned home, she cooked a warm meal that was mostly ignored by all but her and Biscuit, a mangy cat with a chunk torn from its fluffy ear that she'd found nearly drowned during a rainstorm. Silence, painful silence, ticked away on the clock as she waited. Have you ever met a monster? You would know if you had. A lumbering beast climbed the steps, swaying the wood like a storm surged. The door would slam open, furthering the hole dented in the wall paneling, and the monster would enter. He did not often waste time, though most of what he did was a waste of time. With little more than a short preamble, the doll was torn off the shelf, disgraced, humiliated. Once, a question had entered the girl's mind. Is this all that life is? Once asked, there was no choice but for the universe to answer. And the universe assured her, absolutely, without a doubt, this was the best she was going to get. A warm meal and a fluffy cat, and a monster free of charge. Bedraggled, retching into a toilet, the monster lay dozing in a sated slumber in the next room. He cared not for the damage caused to his toy. His was an exceptional model, built to last even the most sadistic of experiments. Glancing in the mirror, the young woman had not even been allowed to change out of her layers. She stared into the glass, gripping the sink with jagged nails. It was only under this lighting that she could see the bags piled like storm clouds beneath her eyes. In the mirror, she saw a face, and another face, and another. Meeting their gazes, the woman sobbed, just once. I messed up again.